Hi there, how you doing? Welcome to my roundup of the MyCareer save here on FM24 and a bit of a look back on FM24 as a whole as well. My name is Stu. Thank you for joining me in today's video where it's going to be a bit of a reminisce of what we did in FM24 in the MyCareer save and beyond. And yeah, we're gonna have a bit of reflection on how good the game was, where it could have been better, and what we're hoping for from FM26 to come. So let's get into it, shall we? So I'm still with Inter and I haven't retired properly yet, but what I want to do is I want to have a look at the manager timeline, because actually this is going to be a really good tool for this. I have got some of the saves kind of earlier points still with me as well. I didn't get all of them. I saved over a couple of them, which is a little bit silly to do. So I don't really have anything from Spennymoor or from Charlton properly, not at the end of those periods. I've got one that's from Charlton midway through, or one from Wolves that's midway through, because I kept forgetting to make a new save file, so that's on me. So we'll do the best we can. Again, it's just a brief reminisce. We'll see how brief it is, and then I might go and have a look at the other saves that we did as well, because they were kind of fun. So let's have a look. I'm going into this basically just to get to the manager timeline. I know there's a quicker way to do it, but I want to do it in this. You've already seen all of this in the last episode, but here we are. This is what we wanted to get to. I'm going to start with our time at Spennymoor. So we were hired as the Spennymoor manager on the 3rd of July 2023. Now bear in mind, in this save I did put a database on here, so it was updated for the 24-25 season. But for all intents and purposes in this save, it was the 2023-2024 season, so bear that in mind. So we started at Spennymoor, had a lovely time to begin with. We had some wonderful performances. We dominated National League North and we got ourselves promoted. Glenn Taylor with plenty of goals. Glenn Taylor, by the way, Director of Football at Charlton. We'll get back to him later, and we'll get back to Charlton in very, very short order as well. So did that, wonderful time. We won the FA Trophy as well, which was great. We scored more goals. We did more stuff. And eventually, after my 100th game, we won National League top, over 100 points, over 100 goals. Superb. It was absolutely fabulous. And then we went into League 2 and we decided that we were going to try and be a league football team. And we started off quite well. When I left the club, yes, I left the club in League 2, we were doing quite well and we looked like we might even be pushing for League 1. I was scared of that because the club did not have the infrastructure for it, and the kind of future has shown that is exactly how the case was. So eventually we made the move to Charlton on the 16th of November 2025. Bear in mind, keep that in mind, because November was a good date for moving clubs for us. Just a little bit. We also we didn't beat them actually, but we did have a game where we drew against Chelsea away at our place, and then we had an away from home FA Cup game with Spennymoor at Stamford Bridge. Brought in lots of money, got battered 5-0. A good time was had by all. So a lovely time at Spennymoor Town. But the time came to move on. Now the idea of the save was, what would I do if I was actually in this position as a manager? And it was a no-brainer. Charlton were League 1 kind of regulars, is probably the best way to say it. They hadn't been promoted or in the next league up since 2020. They hadn't been promoted to the Premier League for a long, long time before that. So the decision came to come to a club with Premier League pedigree. It was a no-brainer. We had to move, so we did move, and very, very quickly we got promoted. We got promoted into from League 1, I should say. Bear in mind, they were kind of in the bottom half of League 1 when I took over. We got them promoted in the first season by finishing 3rd in the playoffs. So third promotion in a row, first playoff, but we did it. And we did a very, very good job and continued on doing a fantastic job as well. And eventually got to 200 games in charge with Charlton. And then, completely out of ridiculousness, we got promoted from the Championship to the Premier League. And then we started off in Premier League life doing very well. Josh Phillips as well, he was a young hero to begin with. He's not necessarily anything special now. He's now had a bit of a journeyman career, gone to Portsmouth and QPR, never really captured the heights that he had at Charlton. But, you know, he's made a nice little career for himself at 28 years old as well. still very much going. Glenn Taylor, by the way, I should go back and actually mention about Glenn Taylor, who was our absolute hero. He is the director of football at Charlton, so he followed me there at 46 years young. What a season he had there, by the way. Sensational. He was far better than he had any right to be at that level. So at Charlton, we were doing quite well. We got promoted to the Premier League. Everything was lovely, but similar to Spennymoor, I knew the writing was on the wall. So I kept an eye out for what opportunities were coming up. We signed Lewis McKernan. He will come up again. Fantastic little player, fantastic little winger. And we got Charlton to earn national attention again. Now, there's a bit of a glitch here. I'm not going to lie to you. No, Darwich had nothing to do with Charlton, but we signed him for Wolves in that season. So I think that's why that's coming up with it, to be honest with you. And Leo Shahar as well was a Charlton player. So I don't really understand what's gone on there. It's merged the two together. But we spent a fair bit of money. Quite a bit of money, in fact, you can see. It's past 20 million, past 26, past 39 and a half, past 49. Then he quit in November and we joined Wolves, who at this point were below Charlton. Charlton were mid-table, Wolves were around the relegation zone. Very quickly, that went up and we won the FA Cup in that first season. Oh no, utter ridiculousness. We spent lots of money. We brought in lots of money as well. And then we signed some absolute quality players like Michael Schockquist. I'll go through some of my favourite players in the save once we finish this timeline. But yeah, we brought in some fantastic players into Wolves, spent a lot of money again, got to the point where we had 300 games. We sold Noah Darwich, who was a superstar for us. Again, we'll get back to him. And we sold some young players as well, or brought some young players in. Got some players on the next gen list as well. Quite a few, actually. One, Eugenio Atuesta, was the top of it at one point. It was fantastic. And then in our second season at Wolves, 28-29, won the Europa League. Ben Cook, who ended up not really becoming anything, he looked like a superstar at this point, finished with 15 goals, which was fantastic. Again, we signed more players. We signed absolute superstars. And then we won that competition, which is like the UEFA Cup. I show my age. The Europa League versus the South American version of the Europa League, I do believe. Jack Grealish we signed for Wolverhampton as well. And then we signed some new contracts. We still continued doing good things. We won the Carabao Cup with Wolves. We got to 400 games. And we won the Premier League as well, which was nuts to me. Absolutely nuts. And then Arsenal came calling in 2030 and we went to Arsenal. So bear in mind at Wolves, we saved them from a potential relegation. We won the FA Cup. We won the Carabao Cup. We also managed to get them a Europa League win. We got them into the Champions League. And I also got them to a Champions League semi-final where Spurs beat them. And then did the Spurs in the final and didn't win. I also brought in some world-class talent. And to the end of this save, Wolves were still a European club. They were a Champions League club every season until the final season, where Ange Postecoglou ended up getting sacked. Doesn't that sound familiar? So I am very, very proud of my time at Wolves. Very proud indeed. We'll go through some of the transfers if we have the chance to, but I will show you some of those players because they were worldies. But then we went to Arsenal and had a lovely time. Spent loads of money, made loads of money, signed some young players, including next-gen players who won it. And I became up England Hall of Famer. I won the Premier League with them. Got a record points haul for Arsenal. I mean, we just did so much good stuff at Arsenal. Won an FA Cup there as well. In the same season as the Premier League. And we signed Noah Darwich back. We also signed Michael Schockquist from Wolves. Again, we're going to be looking at him. Got to 500 games. Signed the World Goalkeeper of the Year. Or made the World Goalkeeper of the Year because we signed him and then he won it. Same with Bukayo Saka, who was already here. We bought some young players again. Paniagua, who won the Next Gen. We're very good at picking Next Gen winners. Very good indeed. And then another Premier League title came. And then Champions League. That was the big one. So I do need to mention at this point, again, this is a bit haphazard, I know, but the aim of the save was base it on realism. We're going to move if it makes sense to move. We got very lucky with the moves that we had the opportunity to move with. But the aim was Champions League win. We want to win the Champions League at least once in the save. We won it with Arsenal after the second season. At that point, there was no point staying because the whole point was we wanted to win the Champions League once. But the bonus objective was to win it 3 times with 3 different clubs. So we moved on to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich is the point where I started to fall out of love with the game. I think, although I had a lovely time at Bayern Munich, that's the reason why, because it was Bayern Munich. We didn't get a lot of money to spend. It felt like a bit of a slog. We had great success. We won the Bundesliga. We won the next gen with Andre Alexeev. If you've been watching the Inter part of the save, you'll know him very well from this last season. And we won trophies. The Pokal, we won the Bundesliga, we set a points record, and we got 600 games in charge. But we didn't win the Champions League. We got to the Champions League final. Our third, was it a third Champions League final or our second Champions League final? Our second Champions League. No, we didn't even get to the Champions League final. We got to the Champions League semi-final. We could not get to the final. Real Madrid knocked us out. We'd already been in the Champions League final once with Arsenal. Lost it. I didn't mention that before. We lost it the season before we won it. So then we tried to do it with Bayern Munich and it didn't work. So then we were kind of faced with the opportunity of, do we stay one more year or do we go further afield? Went further afield. And then we went to where we are at the moment. We went to Inter. Now, I ballsed up. Go back and watch the first episode of the Inter part of the save because I really ballsed up. I didn't realise Inter had finished in Europa League spot. So the first season of this save, Europa League. It's the most fun I'd had since I was at Wolves in this save. It genuinely was. We dominated the Serie A. We won everything. We scored loads of goals. Our defence was fantastic. We were blessed with the team we inherited and we made some fantastic additions to make it even better. To the point where we then made it perfect for one final season. We spent money, don't get me wrong. Spent a lot of money. Tom Laskowski, he's not £110 million worth of defender, but I spent it anyway. But you can see, 3 trophies here. Europa League, Coppa Italia, Serie A. We also won the Super Coppa and we also won the weird... actually, no, that was the season after. We won the weird Europa League, South American Europa League trophy, which will probably come up on here in a moment. Awards were won by plenty. Big won 3 Goalkeeper of the Year awards, because why not? I won Manager of the Year. Yomi Espinosa won Best Young Player of the Season, which was great. And we had the signing of the season, Antonello Simini from Benfica. He was superb as well. And Big won the World Goalkeeper of the Year as well. 700 games in charge. We won Serie A again. We won the Coppa Italia again. We won more awards. And then we win the second Champions League by defeating Real Madrid in the final dominantly. And we went invincible as well in the league. And that is basically the save. We've kind of just done a bit of a rush job there with everything. Now, I can't really show you much about Spennymoor because I took the leagues out. Because Spennymoor ended up getting relegated. And that was the wrong Spennymoor to click on. Let me... pop Spenny back in. Now, a lot of things have disappeared on here. Chief among which, and I've double checked this in an earlier build of the save, I was on favoured personnel. Not on there anymore. See this up here? See that? That was me. I did that. I mean, not that I'm bitter. I will say, to be fair to them, I got them promoted to National League and also to League 2. I did do that. I didn't get promoted to League 1. They did that all on their own. So I will give them credit where it's due. They not only got up that season, they stayed up there, got relegated, got promoted, stayed up again, relegated, then maintained kind of in League 2, then got relegated, and then they finished around 3rd in the National League where they need to play a playoff to go back up there. So, you know, I'm not a bitter man, but Jonathan Woodgate was the guy who got them promoted to League 1, I think. And to be fair, deserves a lot of praise. Again, just to kind of reiterate all of what I've just mentioned, that's how everything kind of looked. Again, those final 2 seasons, you can't really see anything because that's where the league got taken out of the save for the National League because they got relegated down. So a lot of this information obviously isn't there, which is quite disappointing. It's completely my fault. I didn't even think about it when I took the leagues out. So there's a limited amount that we can kind of see from Spennymoor. In terms of their transfer history, I mean, let's go and have a look back. Why not? First season, brought a lot of players in, loaned a lot in as well. We also got rid of a lot of players that we didn't really need as well, which was good. We didn't really get much money for them. We got 550 quid, whereas I spent £135,000, which the club really didn't have at that point. But we signed some quality players. Best signing was Sir Alex Ferguson. He's not Sir Alex, but I'm going to call him that. He was fantastic for us, well above the level that we should have had him at this point. So that was really great. And then we had another season, obviously, at Spennymoor, where we continued to build. Not a single penny was spent, not a single penny was gained. It's one of those ones. We brought in a fair few loans as well, but it was a good job done by all. And then we did have a hand in some of the transfers for the following season. But bear in mind, at this point, I did leave for Wolverhampton. Not Wolverhampton ones, actually, it was Charlton. Speaking of Charlton, let's have a quick look at them and just see whether they want to give me a little bit more credit. No, they don't either. And I was definitely on this list. I don't know if I'd quite made it to icons. Probably not. I was definitely on this list as well. My reputation, as it's gone up, has gone down in the lower leagues, apparently, which is outrageous. Right, so Charlton, we took over when they were in League One. And we finished third in our first season. Championship, finished second in our second season. Then they got relegated in the Premier League after I left. And you can see, though, we took over in League One. They've maintained at a championship level. We've done a good job. Everything's great. Will Fish was there when I started. I signed him for them. You're welcome. You're welcome to Fish. Anyone else who we've got in here who we brought in? I don't know whether there will be. I think he's old enough that he's probably the last one. The last holdout. Yeah, no, he's going to be, I think. Well, I'm glad he's still there. He's on the transfer list by request. He hasn't played much this season. Fair play to him. He's done a good job. Transfers. Let's have a quick look at the transfers that we made at Charlton. So ignore the first couple of seasons. So ignore that one. Ignore that one. This one. January onwards is me. Jacob Davenport, we brought him in. Callum Stiles, I remember bringing him in. Shackleton, we brought him in. And that's where we brought Will Fish in. We spent a couple of million on him. And we sold a few players as well who did not want to be with us. So we decided just to cash in on them. Miles Leeburn is forever the one that he's going to really annoy me, because he genuinely was looking like he could have been a superstar for us. And then his release clause was triggered by Sheffield United. And they ruined him. So that's, where is it? That's the season there where I took over. And then the release clause was triggered. And they ruined him. Absolutely ruined him. Like, bear in mind with that, those 14 goals all came while I was there from November to January. He was fantastic for me. Gutted. Absolutely gutted. I'm still bitter about it. Don't know if you can tell. So yeah, that was our first transfer window with Charlton, and then our second transfer window was just as successful. We signed a lot of players. Jamie Shackleton came in on the permanent. We signed Ellis Sims from Coventry, good striker. Mathis Piccolo, that was a weird one. I probably would never make that one again. Daniel Iverson as a goalkeeper was solid. Leo Shahar would do again in a heartbeat. Ayub Hall was great for the time we had him. Oriol Busquets was far better than he should have been. Mark McGuinness was an interesting soul. Udene was better than he had any right to be. And Lewis McKernan we signed for the Premier League, and he's a £100 million rated player who doesn't like big games and doesn't like moving. But we made a lot of money as well. I mean, we sold Luke Ashburn for a good amount of money. He was a youngster, and Ibrahim Fuller also went as well. So that gained us a fair bit of money. Going into our first season in the Premier League, I signed Leo Shahar on a permanent. Jordan Holsgrove came in on a free. Kerr Smith came in on a loan. We signed a few other players as well who we didn't really know what to make of them, including the old Tyrone Mings at that point. And then I left, so I didn't really care at that point. So that's the point where we left this season, where we spent 66 million. I didn't make much of it back. But again, Charlton's still a championship team. We left them, and we left Spennymoor better than where we found them. What about Wolves? Well, no current manager. I mean, why not? Now you can see on here, I am on the favoured personnel list. I personally think I should be in this area for what I did for the club. I'll stay humble. I'll accept what I've got. 4.5-star reputation team, which is insane compared to where they were. Again, when we first started, bearing in mind, they'd not long been relegated and re-promoted. So we took over after that season where they finished 17th, and then we finished 6th, then we finished 6th again, then we won the league. It's just how we roll. That 6th place finish, by the way, because of how things kind of fell, that was enough to get us into the Champions League. So we had a lovely time. And if you have a look at we'll go through the transfers on this one first. Let's do that. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. So that wasn't us. That wasn't us. That wasn't us. That wasn't us. Was that us? I recognise some names there. No, that wasn't us. This was us. So when I first took over, it was again in November. So January transfer window was where we got going. Stefan Bajetic from Liverpool, £16 million. Nadson Juan, a young Brazilian from Santos, $9.5 million up to 14. Juan Eugenio Atuesta, who at this point in the save is one of the best strikers in the world, over £200 million worth of value, signed him for £2.3 million. Don't you know? We don't talk about Sugawara. Patricio Jara, Argentinian wonder kid, looks fantastic. Noah Darvic, one of my favourite signings I think I've ever made, was explosively fantastic. Nicolo, I recognise that name. I don't know why. I don't know why I recognise that name. He wasn't particularly good for us. We signed him and hoped for the best. I think they were young players. Lewis McKernan, we actually brought with us from Charlton, and we signed Amar Bjorn-Leifsen for £14.5 million, who is at this point one of the best right backs in the game. We also sold a heck of a lot of value of players, like so much value. Jaden Bogle had already gone. Bobby Clark, didn't know who he was, got rid of him. Hayden Hackney, got rid of him. Chiquinho, got rid of him. Fabio Silva, got rid of him. Mamadou Sonko, got rid of him. Brian Gill, got rid of him. Had a good season for us though. Adar Bioyo, got rid of him mainly because I couldn't say his name. And then we sold a few of the kind of fringe players as well. Following season, this is where we turned things up. We spent a lot of money on here, but a lot of these were worldies. Peter Owino, at this point, one of the best centre-backs in the game. Irish centre-back, 80 caps, superb 4.5-star quality. Stefan Bon, we wasted him, but he is genuinely, unironically, one of the best defensive midfielders in the game, but we wasted him, so what could have been with that one? I'll come back to Michael Shockquist. Jack Hinselwood, one of the best utility players I think I've ever signed, genuinely. Never got a cap for England, but he's still at Wolves at this point. Bearing in mind, Wolves have been competing for trophies, they've been competing in the Champions League. He's still there as a handy squad utility player. Far better than he had any right to be. Same with Matt O'Reilly. He's no longer there. Would you check this out? He's actually retired now. But he had no business being genuinely as good as he was when we signed him. We signed him for more than I wanted to. But as a utility player, he just got in there and just did what we needed him to do. Like, genuinely, far better than he had any right to be. Superb. Raul Miranda, we don't talk about. Diogo Dalot did well enough as a right back, but we spent a lot of money on him, as we did James Trafford. However, James Trafford, still the best goalkeeper at Wolverhampton Wanderers, still a top quality goalkeeper, and only with the 7 caps for England is quite disappointing. Young players, don't need to worry about those. Loans just to get us through, don't need to worry about those. And then we signed a few youngsters just to try and build up the ranks as well, including Santiago Caceres, who is getting to be one of the better midfielders in the game as well. Diego dos Santos looked like he was going to be a worldie at one point. And Kiko Bayo we signed towards the end of the season, one of the best left backs in the game. And we sold a lot of players as well. Go figure. And then for my final season, I never really got to... In fact, no, I did get to use all of these. This was our title winning season. I remember these guys. Van der Vaart was a backup goalkeeper, don't worry about it. Rafa Marine was with Wolves up until recently, was a very, very good player for them. Emmanuel Aka was a very, very good backup striker. Currently playing in Fiorentina. We've played him a number of times as Inter. Jack Grealish on a random one season £3 million deal. He went and won the Premier League because of course he did. Had an absolute baller of a season as well as a backup. Michel D'Ambrosio was a great little player. I don't quite know what's happened to his career. It has fallen off a bit, but he looked like he was going to be a worldie at one point. Young player, don't need to worry about him. This guy's a superb right back, but I can never get a permanent transfer for him, but he was a great loan. Then the others don't really matter. And we sold, again, a lot of talent. The one that really hurt in terms of players that we sold was Noah Darvic, which was... We signed him in that season. We sold him in this season, in the middle, to Real Madrid, but we made a profit on him. Now, I said we're going to come back to Michael Shockquist. I will. This guy is one of the best players I think I've ever had as a central midfielder. But we can never quite nail down his position. Central midfield, attacking midfield, defensive midfield. He could do the job every now and then. So he was quite a difficult one, but there was a point where we had him as a central attacking midfielder. Darvic one side of him, Matthias Fernandes, the other side of him at Wolves. We had a 4-2-3-1 narrow. It never was the same after Darvish left. We could never get the combination to work again, but it was superb. But then, all things come to an end, and this is the season where we had left, because we had moved on to Arsenal. Now, Arsenal had some success with before with us. They'd won the title a few times, but we brought back-to-back title trophies as well as the Champions League, which they'd already won in the save. So that kind of lessened the impact a bit. But you can see we are on the favoured personnel list because of it, which is great. We'll have a quick look at the transfer history. Oh, actually, I've just thought, no, we need to go back to Wolves because I need to show you the players that they currently have. And you'll notice Voloshin, I think I brought him there as a backup after the season as I left. I think we just kind of signed him at that point, but I recognise him. Leifson, right back we brought in. Owino, centre back we brought in. These two didn't bring those in. Moscardo didn't bring him in. Hinselwood we did bring in. The attacking midfield three we didn't, but they look like a rotation option selection. Iono, nothing to do with us as well. Timber, nothing to do with us as well. But if you look down here, Andre, our captain, our leader, our legend, he's actually gone out on loan now to Lille, which is a shame. He was a wonderful midfielder for us. James Trafford, good goalkeeper. Gavi, running joke of the save. Kiko Beyer, superb left back, absolutely fantastic. Atuesta, what a machine. Caceres, never got to see his potential. And then a few other players as well. You're going to wonder where Rockquist is. Well, it's minor spoiler. We've already kind of looked where he went. He went to Arsenal. We signed him. Where did we sign him? We signed him over here. There he is. So, Arsenal, let's have a look at the transfers that we made here. Again, we spent an obscene amount of money. I'll show you just how much money I've spent over in my lifetime in this save. So, we signed here. First signing, Alfie McRae. Honestly, one of the weirdest signings I've ever made because he looked like he was going to be terrible. He ended up being superb in that first season and was a great cover player when we needed it. Young Tom Laskowski was signed from Birmingham City for £14.5 million. He ended up being one of the best defenders in Europe. Superb, solid for us at Inter when we eventually signed him and grew into being a good defender at Arsenal. Marko Tokic, he ended up following me to Bayern Munich. Again, a fantastic right back. Really, really good player. Noah Darvish, we brought him back from Spain, brought him back to England. He came to us at Arsenal and did wonderful things, was a fantastic player. Mark Otter, good defensive midfielder. We brought him in as a bit of cover and also a young player. This guy won the Next Gen list, just never quite kicked on after that, but was absolutely superb as a super sub many occasion. Solid goalkeeper. Could have probably done better, but at the time there just was no one about who could quite match what he could do. So we went with it. Joel Harto was a fantastic player as well, but you see these fees. Spent nearly £500 million on all of these players. Wrench was a mistake. Amas didn't really matter. Comado Villalba, I feel like should have become more than he has. Still at Arsenal. No longer a wonder kid and no longer really going to be the superstar we thought he would be. Andrew was a backup goalkeeper. I sold him probably 6 months after I signed him. Freddy Kadiogo did this for a season. Daniel Pitchford is one of the weirdest transfers I've ever made. We'll talk about him, I'm sure. Tete didn't really do anything. Paniagua, I've said other players are some of the best midfielders I've used in the game. I didn't get to use this guy when he was at his full pomp and circumstance, but just as I was leaving Arsenal, this guy became the best midfielder in the game. Look at the state of him. Look at the absolute state of him. He's not for sale. I'm not surprised. And then a few other players as well that don't really matter, including Gavi, which was a mistake. And we moved a few players on as well. None of them really made that much of a difference. Then our final season at Arsenal, we signed Michael Shockquist with lots of money. And then the rest of it was kind of just filling gaps. Backup goalkeeper, I told you. I'd signed him from there. And he's actually ended up going to Wolves afterwards, which is quite funny. Catanano came in as a backup left back, or I can't remember if he's backup or first choice. Either way, he became first choice. George Armstrong came in as a centre-back, central defensive midfielder. And then these were just youngsters. And then Levi Colwill was just to fill a gap in the defence. And they were all young players. Don't worry about them. And then we obviously let players go, including Declan Rice, who had been a hero up until that point. But then this is the season that this squad won the Champions League. And then we left. And then we left to Bayern Munich, where things didn't go quite as well as we thought. We didn't make it onto any of these lists, and I'm not entirely surprised, to be honest with you. What I will just quickly do, actually, and I forgot to do it again, is quickly show the Arsenal squad how it looks at the moment. So Gillingwater was a youngster when I started here. he's... Oh, no, he wasn't, actually. He was at Aston Villa. So they've signed him to replace Augusto Aduro. He's a decent goalkeeper, to be fair. He's the England goalkeeper, so they've done well to sign him. Armstrong, Harto and Catalano were players who went here when I was. Marcotto and Paniagua were, as well as was Shockquist. So was Bukayo Saka. Delic wasn't. Tell was. Tell was looking to move on, and he never actually left. Now, Daniel Pitchford. Career this man has had. I signed him from Brighton after one good season at Brighton, which wasn't even that good. And I genuinely thought we'd signed a superstar. And after that season out, I thought we had. And then the second season was a bit of a flop. Didn't do well in his third season. I signed him at Bayern Munich. Did very well for us on loan. He's gone back to Arsenal. And he's done an okay job. He's not going to be England's top goal scorer, but he's done a decent job. He's had a decent career for himself. But a weird one. But you can see... He's still there, Martinelli's still there, Villalba's still there. There's still players who are here, and there's some of these guys are youngsters who came up or I signed while I was here as well. Francesco Camarada actually is on loan at Inter, and we've signed him on a permanent as well. So, Lucas Weatherby is the youngster I was thinking about. 5'11", never going to make it. So yeah, that is the Arsenal squad. Let me go back to the Bayern Munich side of things, and let's have a quick cheeky look at that. So Bayern Munich, transfer wise, we spent a lot of money. Yes, we did. We had the one season to do it all as well. So we prioritised to begin with a right back. Sopsic was the first right back we signed, but we then quickly made him the backup right back. But then I signed this guy. This is possibly the best bargain in this entire save. Atuesta is also on there as well, but that was very much we were signing potential. We thought we were signing potential with this guy, and we were. But he has become one of the best strikers in the game, and it's not even funny, and it's not even close. And it's Andre Alexeev. What a superb player. And we signed him to be an attacking midfielder at this point. Yannick Schnitz came in as a backup defender, and Chatsi Gorgio came in as a starting defender. He's one of the biggest wastes of money I think I've ever spent. Marko Tokic came in as our new starting right back. Majetic came in as a backup defensive midfielder. Tadibo was a mistake. Solomon was a superb playmaker in the kind of vein of Shockquist. Potentially better than Shockquist technically, but I think I'd still rather Shockquist or Paniagua. A midfield of Paniagua, Shockquist and Solomon would make all of the play. It would be brilliant. Neil Sam was a youngster who came in from Leipzig. He's now left. Vasco Souza came in from Barcelona on a cheap deal. He did very well for the half season I had him. Daniel Pitchford, you know my feelings. Antov came in as a backup, a left back, and he did good. That guy, I think, was a youngster with potential. Yes, he was. Zabani came in for half the season just to see us over the line in the Bundesliga, and the others were youngsters. And we let go of a lot of players as well. You can see, actually, we didn't spend that much money compared to how much we made. It's very, very close. And we signed Kai Havertz for the umpteenth time. Very, very good season, but we didn't win the Champions League, which is what we set out to do, and then we left, and that is where we got to our current club. But I will just have a quick look at this Bayern Munich team. Mamardashvili was our goalkeeper. Tokic, Zabani, Lukeba, Antov. That is our defence. That is the defence we built. None of those players other than Lukeba were there when we signed. Bernal was there when we signed. Van der Poel is a new player. Solomon was a player who we signed. We've looked at him already. Musiala was there. Joey Stevens has been signed, as is this guy. And then on the bench, we've got Sopsic, who is definitely a player who we had, who we think can do good things. Chatzi is obviously a player we signed. Souza, Fati, they were all there. All players that we signed. Mika Sander was signed from us at Inter. There's a lot of players there who we brought in and who were already there, who were still there, and they went and retained the Bundesliga, so it was obviously a very good side. But that brings us to present day. And what a time we've had over 2 seasons at Inter Milan. What an absolute time we have had. So, that was our first season. 440 million out. 194 million brought in. We spent a lot of money, is what I'm getting at. Laskowski, 110. Cordoba, 70. Samini, 33. Vasconcelos, 40. Charles, 36 up to 41. Sander, 55. Kabasi, 65. And then Deloro was more of a one for the next season, really. But 27.5 million, and then a few youngsters. And then we didn't really sell anyone of major value other than Gavi, who I just kept getting rid of. So yeah, really good first season. Second season, we didn't quite do as much damage, but we still spent a fair bit. De Vries was in for a fair kind of bargain as a young player. Same as Lefebvre. 100 million to 120 for Alex Eve, 50 million to 55 for Scalvini. And that was the big spending other than Rabuano. Three big deals. Everything else was superfluous, and we still made a little bit of money as well. But that built what I would say is one of the best squads I think I have ever managed, just in terms of dominance. And I can't get my head around just how good they actually are. Genuinely. Unbeaten season in Italy, won the Champions League. Goals for days, clean sheets for days as well in Urbig, who might be the unsung hero of the team. Only a 3-star goalkeeper. It's a criminal act that he's only had 5 caps for Germany. Much, much better than that. Really, really happy with him and his work. Happy with all of the team. Alex Eve is without question the best player, though. Absolutely superb. But then Marco Rabuano would probably change my mind, because he actually has ended up being an integral part of the midfield machine as well. And Antonello Simini is a fantastic winger. Maybe not quite the messianic figure I painted him out to be to begin with, but he's definitely a key part. Espinoza, whose name I keep getting wrong, he was fantastic as well. Verlaine was great. Gonçalves was a great option. Zilli did a good job. Urbano was a fantastic left back. Gula, oh captain, my captain. What a captain he ended up being. Fabulous. And just to show you as well, as a manager, this is kind of the overview of the stats. Managerial jobs, we had 6. Never did international management in FM24, didn't feel a need to. Longest time at a club was 951 days. That would have been our time at... wasn't Spennymoor. Probably Charlton. Because we did 2 full seasons at Charlton, and then we did until November. So it's between Charlton and Spennymoor is where we spent the most time. Shortest time at club was when we were at Bayern Munich. We just did just over the 1 season. I've won 44 awards, earned £29 million. I've been in the game for 4,354 days. That's how long I've been a football manager. I've never holidayed, which I'm quite proud of. I've bought 160 players for 2.56 billion. And I've sold 126 players for 1.83 billion. I'm definitely a buying man. Highest fee spent was 120 for Shockwist. You can also technically argue that Alex Eve would have had that as well. And Noah Darvich's 78 million is the highest I've received. I find that very hard to believe. We paid £31 million to agents, and we released 28 players. Highest nationality ranking was number 1. We are the best English manager in this save. We're the 5th best in the continent. We're the highest ranking in the nation in terms of 7th, and highest world ranking in terms of 7th. We're the 7th best manager in the world in this save. Games played. We played 121 games. That doesn't feel like a lot. There's no way. Oh, that's at Inter. I was about to say. At Inter, we've played 121, won 113. We only lost 3. Scored 342 goals, conceded 53. Some teams concede that many in a season. That's ridiculous. And then in total, we played 724 games, won 551, drew 99, lost 74, scored 1,885 goals, conceded 594. Our goal difference is plus 1,291 with a win percentage of 76% for our career. And we won 23 cups, 8 leagues, 4 promotions, 0 relegations. I'm very proud of that. And that is the history of our time here as well. So there's our trophies, the awards that we've won. So we won National League, FA Trophy, twice at Spennymoor. In fact, are they different trophies? Challenge Trophy. So we won it twice, apparently, in 1 season. I don't really understand. Oh, no, sorry. That's the list of the trophies on that side. So they're the 2 trophies we won there. They're the 2 trophies we won. So we won the Challenge Trophy, and we won those National League, Northern League as well. Didn't win anything with Spennymoor in that season because we went and got ourselves promoted. But we also won the English Football League trophy as well, so it doesn't count our promotion there. We then got promoted here without winning anything, but we won a few personal awards as well. Then at Charlton, we didn't win a thing because we moved to Wolves, where we won the FA Cup in our first season, and in the following season, Europa League and Community Shield. Following season, we won the CONMEBOL Club Challenge, which we don't really care about, the Carabao Cup in the Premier League. Lovely time. Went to Arsenal, won things, won plenty of things. FA Cup, Premier League, Carabao Cup, the domestic treble. I thank you very much. And then in our final season at Arsenal, We went and won everything again. Community Shield, Carabao Cup, Premier League, FA Cup, Champions League. We won a quintuple, is it? The 5. We won a Pentagon. That's not the Pentagon Challenge. It was my Pentagon Challenge. Then at Bayern Munich, we won 2 things. The Bundesliga and the Pokal. There were requirements at Bayern Munich and not a nice thing. And then at Inter, that first season, won everything on offer to us. And then in the second season, won everything on offer to us even more. And my favourite player of the entire save is, without question, Noah Darvic. It genuinely is, because I signed him twice. I looked to sign him 3 times, if not 4 times. I wanted him here at Inter. I wanted him at Bayern Munich. If I'd have stayed at Bayern Munich, we would have signed him. Genuinely would have done. This guy was superb for us. Every time we called upon him, he was great. That first season at Wolves, game changer. And then he did half a season at Wolves there and ended up leaving. Didn't really work out for him at Real Madrid, but at Arsenal, he has been. Those 2 seasons at Arsenal, chef's kiss. He's not quite been the same since I left, but, you know, he's still been good. Alex Zeev is definitely the next best player. Genuinely really, really happy with how he develops over the course of 3 seasons. And you can see 31 goals in 31 appearances in the league. What more can you ask for? Also, we have to mention the original difficult wonder kid to try and get a game out of. One, Eugenio Atuesta, 2.5 million, it's less than that. And then eventually the goals ramped up. Never really fully broke out as a full striker. He's one of those where you look at his ability, my word, is he a good player? Yeah, you wait until that comes up and you see he dreads big games. But still, very proud of the development that we had with him. In terms of kind of cult heroes, I want to mention Ben Cook, which isn't going to come up. I need to mention Ben Cook. I feel a need to mention this guy. Ben Cook, who is actually playing in Italy now at Lazio. Never got an England call-up. He's 26 years old now. I had him as a youngster at Wolverhampton Wanderers. I mean, he's never really exploded onto the scene, but he scored important goals for us. So I feel a need to kind of really kind of shout him out. And again, Shockwist, who I'm not going to be able to get him up here, am I? Let me just try. Michael Shockwist. There we go. It was with a J. This guy didn't want to come to us originally at Copenhagen. I had to wait a season for him. And then when we got him, my word, what a player he ended up being. He's still at Arsenal. He's still tearing it up. I mean, this Arsenal side is probably the next best side in this save, technically, but the Wolves side I built, oh my word. Bearing in mind, they maintained their ability without Shockwist, without Noah Darvic. He's kind of beggars belief that Wolverhampton Wanderers have still been as good as they have been. You can see here, we won the league there, finished 4th the following season, 2nd the season after that, 3rd the season after that, 3rd season after that, and then they finished 6th in this season. So they maintained for quite some time. I mean, to me, that says just how well they did after I left. The fact that they've maintained as well as they have done. They've won 4 Premier Leagues. Of course, bear in mind in history, that counts for a little bit as well. We're probably going to ramble if we carry on anything with this save, but I think we'll shift focus on this video and look at FM24 as a whole. And we'll start that by looking back at the first save I did on here. The Aston Villa save, where we took Villa a couple of years into the future and we had a lovely time. We really did. In terms of how we did in the Premier League in our final season, we won it. You can see that we had a lovely time. We won lots of things. We had Lionel Messi playing for us. A mad universe I created here. An absolutely mad universe. He was there. It had to be done. We won lots of things. If we have a quick look at the history in here. I didn't want to look at the manager timeline. Get out of the manager timeline. I wanted to look at this. Job history. Only 3 seasons, but in the first season we won a couple of trophies. Conference League, Carabao Cup. Second season, Premier League, FA Cup, Champions League. I've got form for winning the Champions League in the second season of a save with Aston Villa. I genuinely do. Then we won the UEFA Super Cup, the Carabao Cup and the Premier League. Not quite as successful in that one, but we still did a very good job. Very, 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 very proud of this save. And Jack Grealish we brought back to the club as well. And at 30 years old, he had pretty much won everything and had a fantastic season as well. So very happy with that. Then we kind of floated around in FM24 for a little bit, but then the next big save we did was this one. Now, I know this is a bit of a weird one. We're in 2032, I'm unemployed. It's because I've recently left this club, and I've left them as a 5-star reputation club, after building them back up from the lower reaches of football. This is one of my favourite things I think I've ever done in terms of a save. So we started with this club. If I quickly show you. We started with this club here in Grupo 1. Back-to-back promotions got us up to La Liga. And we just did not look back. 3rd place in our first season. Shouldn't have happened. Did it again. Still shouldn't have happened. 2nd place. Still shouldn't have happened. And then we dominated every single season with over 100 points after that. 4 seasons. But that wasn't even the biggest thing. The biggest thing was winning the Champions League not once, but twice. Barcelona, Bayer Leverkusen, by the way, love a Champions League because they won one in the MyCareer save against Arsenal. Not that I'm still bitter about it. But we won so many trophies here, and genuinely, I had a lovely time at this club. Obviously, we won the kind of lower reaches of Spanish football. They had the weird thing where there's the 2 leagues side by side and then there's a playoff between them to see who the real champion is. And then we won La Liga 2 just because. Didn't win anything in that first season in La Liga. Then the 2nd season we did win the Copa del Rey. We did get into the final the season before. Nothing in that season there, and then we won 2 trophies, the Super Copa and La Liga. 4 trophies here, Super Copa, the Copa del Rey, the La Liga and the Champions League. Then we just did the domestic treble, and then we won everything again in that final season. A fantastic time. I really, really enjoyed building Deportivo La Coruña back up from whence they were. And, I mean, the squad that we built, I mean, it's just fantastic. We signed some quality players. We found some quality players in here as well. We did some crazy stuff. I mean, in this save, Herculano, what an incredible midfielder he ended up being. We signed him as a centre-back. Jean-Pascal Ribel, we signed him on loan one time and decided he was fantastic. Bojan Ilic, my captain. Sandoval, we signed him on a free, if I remember correctly. It was something ridiculous like that. Let's have a look. Signed him on a free. And if I look at his biography, let's just have a quick double check. Next gen runner-up. He won something as well. He won like an award for being like Young Player of the Year or something like that. Like, he was obscene, like absolutely obscene. Superb player. I love how this has changed a little bit. This is a completely different format than how I had it before. He was fantastic. And then Johnny Salvador. One of the best strikers I think I've ever used in Football Manager. We took a couple of seasons to get going, but look at that output for those 2 seasons there. I mean, his first season was good, his second season wasn't bad, and then those 2 seasons, that season in particular, utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. And we turned Joe Veloso, who is a known midfielder in Football Manager, I feel like. I'd used him before, signed him as a midfielder, I turned him into a striker. I turned him into an actual striker. Like, with that level of finishing. Look at that season. Obscene how well he played as a striker. Go and watch that final season, because genuinely, there's no right to have as good a season as he did. And Litzkas as well. I forgot about him. German midfielder, quality playmaker. I think we signed him for pennies. We did, and he just develops and develops and develops and kept developing. I loved this team. I don't know if you can tell. I absolutely adored this team. I'd forgotten just how much, actually. Looking back at it, I do feel very nostalgic. That's the word I was thinking of earlier. Nostalgia. I feel very nostalgic looking back at this team. Very, very nostalgic indeed. I also feel like I signed someone here. Well, I just want to have a look back and see if I can locate them. But I might not have done. I might have thought about signing it and it never ended up happening. Oh, that's another person we need to look at. Chris Furich. This is one of those signings that just, when you sign them, no right to be as good as they are. We signed him in La Liga 2, ready for the La Liga season, and then he took us to a La Liga title. He won every big trophy that we won, and then eventually wanted his big move to Saudi Arabia to retire. That's why he's Lord Chris Furich. We decided to laud him because he deserved to be lauded. Right, I've rambled on quite a lot about both Football Manager 2024, the MyCareer save, and also what we've done on Football Manager in general. So the question now becomes, what's coming going forward on the channel? So, what are we doing on Football Manager 2026? Well, the very, very simple answer is I don't know. I've not really stopped and thought about it. To be honest, I don't know how my computer is going to cope with Football Manager 2026. I did have to have a conversation with my partner. My fiance. Look at the terminology right, Stu. I did have to have that conversation the other day where I was just like, I don't know whether I might need a new computer. And yeah, they're very supportive and they were telling me just do it. But I'm very aware that I'm getting married next year. So, you know, got to be sensible. Got to be very sensible. So we'll see what happens with that. My intention is when the beta drops, we know it's going to be a beta, I'm going to do a quick 1 or 2 season stints. I'm playing, by the way, with a Wi-Fi thing for my PC, which I don't use anymore. I don't know why I've got that in my hand. I'm playing with it. I am thinking of a Manchester United save, just for the fact that I've never really done a proper Manchester United save, and it could be a fun one just to jump into. So we might do that. With how Liverpool have started the season, I'm thinking about a Liverpool one as well. That could be good fun. I don't quite know. I need to have a think about it and I need to decide. But FM content is going to continue on the channel, assuming FM26 doesn't break my computer. If it does, I'll deal with that as best as I can. But that's going to be it for this video. I kind of didn't have a plan. I just thought I'd ramble, and that's exactly what I've done. So we're going to finish the rambling here. If you've enjoyed the Football Manager content on this channel, thank you. I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate anyone who's added any views to the channel, any subscriptions. It really does mean a lot. It is a hobby. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to the point where I do this as a full-time career. I don't think I've got the time to currently commit to it to get to that point. So if it happens, it will happen and I'll get very lucky, but don't think it's going to. I think it is just going to be a hobby and I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I will do it for as long as I see it as a fun thing to do and as long as it feels like a worthwhile thing to do. And as long as people enjoy it, and as long as people enjoy it, that's the main thing. Football Manager 2026 will return, will debut on this channel around the point of the beta drop, and it won't be on the day because I will be at work because I've always got to work. It will come out when it comes out, the content on the channel, and hopefully when it does, you will enjoy it. But that is pretty much going to do it for this ridiculously long video and walk down memory lane. I hope you've got some enjoyment out of it, as you hopefully have done with the rest of the saves on the channel, including MyCareer, including the Deportivo one, even way back to the Aston Villa one, and the random sporadic rebuilds in the middle. And if you haven't enjoyed it, well, soz. I can't really tell you much more than that. I will see you in FM26 in whatever form that will take. But until then, my name is Stu. You've been awesome as always, and I will see you at some point in the future. Cheers.